All right, it is your classic metal show. Neely's completely not ready.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I got to take photos and all kinds of fun stuff.
You got to be important. And
yeah,
took
man.
selfies.
Yeah, man.
Well, look who it is. It's the boys from Priscilla.
All right, very
Sneaking
nice.
in here.
Very good.
Turn on your mics, guys.
Yeah, you got to flip the switch there.
Check. There you go.
What up?
There you are.
There we go. You look like Ace Frehley. Doesn't he look like Ace Frehley?
I think that's the first time I've heard that.
I mean, in a good way, like a younger Ace Frehley, not like now Ace Frehley, but Ace when he was better looking. How's that?
When he was better looking?
Pre-car accident.
A few bottles of Jack Daniels back.
Right.
1977,
I always get the dog, the bounty hunter.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see that a little bit. Yeah.
Well, we're here in Cleveland at the 78th Street studio for Raining Rock and Priscilla. Boy, that's a band I haven't heard from in years. I actually used to play you guys on the show.
Past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had your CD, and in fact, I still do
All
have
right.
it.
Chris got the new one. I just gave it to him.
Yeah, it's
been
a
the
long
latest
time.
one, 8 Lives Gone.
Right. Well, guys, talk about the old scene, man. Since that's kind of the theme that we're starting with here, and certainly Priscilla, as far as the, I don't know if we're going to say hair bands or whatever go,
Right.
but Priscilla was one of the top ones, man. I mean, there was you guys, and there was SOS was a big one that you could go and see, but there was. It was almost at that time frame, that mid-'80s time frame, it was like the perfect accompaniment to the nationals that were playing at the Coliseum or wherever.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. That's Tom and I, my guitarist right here. That was that era that we were going. We were the kids that were coming up in that. So we were doing, what I was really into back then was like new wave of British heavy metal. That was like a big influence of mine when I was a teenager. I loved the old Def Leppard, Tigers of Pantang, stuff like that. Sure. And even like before UFO, Thin Lizzy, I grew up when I was a little kid listening to all that.
Right.
So then when the hair band scene exploded with Poison and Motley Crue and all those bands, that was what us kids were listening to. So Priscilla was basically mimicking that. But, it's like people ask me now, oh, you still listen to all that stuff? Well, you know what? I didn't really listen to that much stuff back then of the hair band scene. I did. I mean, trust me. There's a lot of that I love. Cinderella Night songs, Wasp, things like that. Queensryche, old Queensryche, the EP, Rage for Order, stuff like that. I was really into that stuff, but, like, not so much like the really glam stuff, even though that's what we were doing.
Right.
That wasn't my main influence, which is funny because like I said, when people ask me, you still listen to that? I didn't listen to it that much back then.
Right, sure.
But I'm a fan. I mean, I am.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with being a fan of any of it. The important thing, I would imagine, as a band, is not to get sucked into trying to sound like what's going on at that time, because you end up pigeonholing yourself to a
and we did
3-year period.
Everyone said, we're doing the Poison thing, which I guess my voice had that Bret Michaels, Vince Neil twang kind of thing going on. It did. It just happened to be what was happening. So we did get pigeonholed into that. And like when Z-Rock started playing us, which was a big break for us because our Wake Up the Neighborhood was a song that hit the top 10 on there, and a couple of our other songs, which is a real big deal for us at the time.
Sure.
But people were calling in on Z-Rock thinking that we were Poison. They thought Poison had put out something new. And, that wasn't the case, obviously.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, it's like, of course that's going to happen. But, yeah, the scene back then, like you were asking, like the movie The Dirt, that's like, Motley Crue's having their second coming or third or fourth coming by this point, at this point. That was the scene. That was everyone's reality in the scene that we were in, the bands, that we were playing with, touring with, going on the road with. That was the scene. It was the decade of decadence. There's no doubt about it. So it was fun. I mean, that was a blast for sure. You couldn't get away from that party. So that fed into the whole thing. As much as we were playing that and living up to that, we bought into that hype and we became that hype, if that makes sense.
I think when you're writing songs as a band, you can't just try to say, we want to sound like this. You got to see the guys in a band, and you're going to get your own sound, and you can't be fake and like, all right, we want to sound like Queensryche. Well, with your singer's voice, you're not going to sound like, or your guitar player, you're going to sound like who you want to sound like, and that comes out naturally. You know, and not saying because I believe everybody. You can't say I just like metal. I just like slow stuff. I just like rap. Everybody, you have more than one emotion.
Right.
You know, so when people say, like, man, I like a lot of stuff.
Right. And as we were talking about, before we came on the air, that was unfortunately one of those things that kind of hurt Priscilla, was when management people stuck their nose in and decided, well, now you guys are Nine Inch Nails.
Right.
And I was like, whoa,
Yep.
And it was, and I'm not saying that you wouldn't be into that, but it didn't fit.
Well,
the rep you built.
When you're a kid, you think it's going to last forever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
and that was the thing. Like at that time, Mitch, our manager, Mitch Karczewski, who you shared an office with, was. I remember him telling me going back way back to then. He said, "Listen," he goes, "this is your time now." He goes, "You're not going to be a kid forever." I'm like,
right.
"Screw it! I thought it was going to last forever." And then it's gone. You look back, it's like, where'd the last 30 years go? And like we got our show. We're doing the JCU ball benefit show in December, and it's like that was our first show. Was 30 years ago, almost to the day. I think our show was December 15th at Peabody's. Our first show out. And this one's December 14th. But to the day, 30 years. And, like, you look back, and it's like, where did that time go, man? It's gone. It's in a wink of an eye. It's just gone. But, yeah, but going back to Mitch, obviously, like you and I were talking before we came on the air, at the end there was things going on with other local bands that, he was having falling outs with.
Right.
And he was using us as a tool, I guess, get back at them. I don't know what the game was, but him and I, right before his death, untimely death, had a falling out over that because I said, this isn't going to work for us, and this isn't who we are at all.
Right.
And we had a shouting match. That was our last discussion before he died, and that really sucks. It breaks my heart that it had to be like that, but...
Well, you brought up a real blast from the past there, Z-Rock. How great was that?
It was great.
But that they had a syndicated... show. They were out of Houston, Dallas.
Yeah, we went down there and actually did an interview on air with, Mike Payne, and we went down to Dallas, did an interview. It was awesome. I mean, we had Wicked Neighbor at the top 10 and Love in Action, another song hit the top 50. And we're down there. They're like, "Why aren't you guys on a major label?" Like, I don't know. Talk to the manager. This was before Mitch.
Right. Our manager before Mitch. And when we were on fire, actually things were happening. We were having when we hit Z-Rock, Atlantic Records, there were so many major labels that were throwing their hat in the ring to sign us, and our manager wouldn't give up his end of the deal. He signed on. He took it upon him. He took a bunch of kids that were working hard in the basement, writing these songs and doing this and putting the whole thing together, and then we came out and, so to speak, exploded. And all of a sudden, everyone, when we hit Z-Rock, that was a national level, so everyone wanted a piece of us. He wouldn't release us from his contract, and they wanted to buy us outright. And Atlantic Records specifically, they had in a contract that it was a matter of signing it, but they wanted to sign us with management. I think it was Lieber and Krebs or something, Aerosmith's management, I think, at the time.
Wow.
And, powerhouse management, and he wouldn't give up. He wanted to retain his fifth of the rights, and I said, I told him personally, I said, listen, I'll pay you out of my cut. I'll do whatever this takes to make this go forward. Right. And he would not release us.
You want to hear what he said?
No.
Why would I get rid of you now when I can make millions off you in the future?
That's his exact words.
That's the quote.
And what did he make? Goose egg, man. It turned out to be a goose egg for him because you only have your window of opportunity is so brief at that time. When you explode, like it happened so quick. So we had like a matter of a very short amount of time that we could have capitalized on what was going on. And he blew it for us.
We played a fancy theater, and we had to wear the same outfits we had on that little single because we had record labels coming in. That's how. And after we thought it was done, we had champagne bottles, and that's when he gave me the quote. Why would I get rid of you guys now and I can make millions off you in the future? I'm like, are you kidding me?
Isn't it amazing how much power people put into fake numbers?
Yes, absolutely, man.
And then back then there wasn't internet, so
exactly.
You take someone's word for you can't get a hold of who he's talking to.
Well, and especially at that time too, forget the Poisons of the world. I'm sure you guys would get that comparison, but you wouldn't look at that comparison. You'd see those other bands that were also the Toughs and bands like that were kind of the second. They turned out to be second level.
Yes.
Right.
But at the time they were signing six figures, seven-figure deals. You're like, maybe there is $10 million scraping around the corner.
I mean, you believe it as a kid. You listen what you're being fed. But, these managers are spoon-feeding you stuff you don't know when you're a kid. And you look back on it, like if you knew now, or if you knew then what you know now, and if you could look back, if you could have that youth back, but know what you know now,
the brain's
man,
now
it'd be a whole different world,
All right, well, then I'll just throw the question out. Looking
Right.
at how it is now and looking how it was then, where bands that were not Poison or Motley Crue ended up just getting fucked and, owing recoup
That's crazy.
long after they were done. Are you glad that it didn't happen?
And that's the other side of it, right? I think, and I say I think, who knows, it's all speculative, but I think we would have hit at just the right opportunity that we maybe could have capitalized a little bit. We were still on that edge,
Right.
but it folded. That whole scene folded shortly after us. We had a couple years to play with, and then it was done. But, I mean, I know bands to this day that they're still in hock for millions to the record companies. I mean, even, like, locally, there's bands that I know of that owe buku bucks to their labels,
But it sure would have been fun for a little ride, though. You know what I mean? It would've-
Yeah. That's the thing.
It
The experience, like, and I know bands that are doing it now. I remember I did some shows with a band called the Sex Slaves out of New York City, and a great, like, newer band. And they did Europe regularly. Like, they would tour, like, a couple times a year, I think, and they made no money. I remember talking to those guys, and I said, how do you guys do? They're sleeping on floors and doing stuff that I wouldn't want to do at this point in the game. But they're like, man, we do it for the life experience. You can't trade that for the world. That's worth $1 million to us. And I get that, you know what I mean? But
yeah, if you want to hear stories, I could tell you stories all day long about them.
about me?
Yeah. The touring stories, but we're not allowed to talk.
I know what you're getting at. We got to keep this PG rated.
Well, I'm talking about you would read the Bible every day before, and
Yeah, that was
very
it.
honest
Yeah.
guy. Nice
Little holy water.
Yeah, right. I needed holy water poured on me back then.
Now, have you guys been active all this time, or is there a time where you took a break for a while, or?
I was in different band. I had a band called Slit that I was doing for I haven't played out actually in a few years, but that was the last band I was doing. Priscilla hasn't done anything in 10 years. We did some reunion shows back then that were great, but the JCU Christmas benefit show is going to be the first thing that we've done in 10 years for our 30th anniversary. But Tom had actually a country band that he had going that was really successful.
Country rock, and I got signed out of a label out of Nashville, and played everywhere. It was great. My last show I played last year was in the Cutting Room in New York. Have you heard of that place? That venue was awesome.
Sure.
We played there. We took a tour bus with a bunch of people from here and played down there. We played a show with the lead singer of Zebra. I just lost his name right now.
Randy Jackson.
Randy Jackson in
There you go,
Long
Randy.
Island. I mean, in Randy Jackson in Long Island's like Michael Stanley in Cleveland. You know? I mean, he's like, So, I was doing that and got airplay and WGR and all that stuff and
That's cool.
doing all that stuff.
Now, did you guys play with Nikki Storm?
What's that?
Did you guys play with guitarist Nikki Storm at one point?
Nikki Storm.
Who have we played with?
No, was Nikki Storm
In our band. I never
ever
heard.
in your band?
Who's Nicky Storm?
He's a guitarist.
I don't know.
I thought he was involved with Priscilla
No.
one time.
No. I know the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played with the Gods and different, bands.
okay.
guys
Yeah, I
like
do know
that.
what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
he's from Akron.
Yeah.
He played around.
Yeah. He's a good musician.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I thought he had played with you guys
No.
at one point somewhere down
No.
the road, but I could have been mistaken, obviously.
Yeah.
But since you guys are doing this benefit show, is there a plan that, like in the new year, are you guys going to do other things, or is this just for a one-off, or what are you doing?
I don't want to go beyond that at this point.
Wait,
But tentatively, let's just say this
he was
is
off
it
for
right
another
now.
show coming up
Yeah.
after that, too.
We've been in talks for something, but right now this is it. So we got to keep all eyes on this. Like Bill Peters actually, and this I've been telling Tom and everyone else. Big shout out to Bill, man, who's my dude. And I mean, like for whatever reason, the guy believes in me. That's cool, And here's the thing. And I told Bill last time I did an interview with him. That guy influenced me so much as a kid. I used to listen to his show. And like all those bands back then that you never heard, like Great White and Motley Crue before when they were on Leather and no one heard about it. He was playing all that stuff. And I would listen to a show, I think it was on Saturday mornings. I'd sit there with my little tape recorder and tape his stuff and be like, wow, this is so badass. But, so anyways, getting back to that, yeah, it's like my band Slit actually was one of the openers on the JCU show. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago now already. And then now this show, Priscilla is like the band, the big band on the bill. And that's a huge chance on Bill's part because we're different flavor, But like if you listen to the new stuff, it is very heavy. It's completely to compare it to something, I'd compare it to Backyard Babies or Hardcore Superstar, maybe even Murder Dolls, stuff like that. It's very current. It's more of the European new wave of sleaze metal. It's not the hair metal stuff at all. It's a different flavor. So it works with that audience, but I think that audience is going to recognize us from the back in the day. So are we their flavor, of like bands that I grew up listening to, like Breaker, who I saw there a couple years ago, were just phenomenal. Jim, you guys just had on the air, my buddy. That we're on a bill that usually fits those bands, which are those are my influences, those are my idols, so to speak, growing up. And now he's putting us on that bill and taking a chance with us being a different flavor of band. So, big props to Bill for doing that for us, and I love him for that. And hopefully, it'll be a badass, balls to the wall show. And it's going to be, we got a really cool heavy set going on. I think people dig us. If they open up their ears and open up, listen to what's going on, I think they'll dig it. I think they'll dig what's going on there. And hopefully you guys will be there and up front.
And when is this again exactly? When
December
and where?
14th at the Beachland Ballroom.
All right, so the food drive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, I got you. All right, cool. All right, you guys got any social media out there people can find you? Any kind of websites? Anything
Brad
like
Slit on Facebook or I guess Instagram, just Brad Slit. Just that, just like whatever.
Whatever.
Right?
Yeah, whatever.
I have a few movies out that I was making movies for a while in my downtime from Priscilla too. So Running with the Angels and made a vampire movie that I starred in called Pharisee. Stuff like that you could like search, and it's on Amazon Prime and stuff like that, or YouTube. You could search the stuff, and all our videos are out there on YouTube. Just search, Priscilla, 8 Lives Gone, or it's all on Reverb Nation and all that stuff. So we're out there, do some Google searches and whatever else is out there for the internet, and you'll find us. We'll pop up all over the place.
Never goes away anymore now, does it?
Dude, that's what me and Jim Haymar were just talking. He said, thank God YouTube wasn't around back in the day. We were talking about he ripped his pants on stage back in the day at the Cleveland Connection, and I told him I did the same thing me and Tom were just talking about.
Right.
These chicks are all taking pictures, and then they're like going, no. I'm like, man, these chicks must really dig me. And then some chick pointed out, she's like, hey, psst, come on over here, man. Your pants are torn. I'm like, holy crap, man. And so me and Jim were talking about how, thank God, YouTube wasn't around back in the day, because we'd be like YouTube famous, man, for our flubs on stage.
Nice.
But nowadays there's no escaping, so you got to be on the money with everything,
Exactly.
You can't escape from that. You can't get away from it these days.
Too funny. All right, well, I got your disc here. I pulled up the tracks. We can play a song or two from it if you like.
Play High Fashion or 8 Lives Gone. Either one of those, I think you'll dig.
Do you know the the track number?
I think High Fashion, is track 5. 8 Lives Gone is maybe track 3 or 4, something like that.
Okay, track 5 is High Fashion.
There you go.
All right. So
I think you dig it. It's like, what? A lot of that is influenced by Def Leppard, High and Dry era Def Leppard, which is one of my all-time top 3 albums, and I really got in the mode of writing like that on that album. I love that stuff. They were a different breed of animal. What happened after that with, even by Pyromania, they were watered down. But when Pete Willis was in that band, they were just monsters, man. Those, the On Through the Night and High and Dry. Wow, what a band they were.
First two pretty untouchable.
And what?
The first two are pretty untouchable.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I to this day, I listen to that stuff all the time, man.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, perfect.
Love it.
All right, guys. Well, good luck with the reunion show. I guess it'd be a reunion show. And come out and see them December 14th at the food drive over at the Beachland Ballroom. So it's Priscilla, and here it is.
Thank you very much, guys,
Thank
man.
you.
Perfect. All right. It's a Priscilla exclusively here.
Great talking to you guys, man.
Metal show.
Right on.